I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. So we're continuing with our reading in Alma. This is the war chapters. We're skipping around a bit. We read about the events both in the east and the west. Kind of a parallel story here. Moroni in the east. They've retaken the city of Mulek, and Ammoron has sent an epistle to negotiate for the exchange of prisoners. We read Moroni's response to Ammoron, and then Ammoron's second epistle to Moroni in response to that. We're going to turn now to the story of Helaman in the west. Now, if you'll recall, with Helaman in the west, they destroyed the largest army of the Lamanites by drawing them out of the city of Antiparah, and then they went back to the city of Judea. Then Ammoron sent an epistle to Helaman desiring to exchange prisoners. So at the same time, well, in the 28th year, he's negotiating with Helaman for the exchange of prisoners. That fails, and they abandon the city of Antiparah. And so Helaman takes the city without fighting this time. He just marches in. But notice that it was in the 28th year that he tries to negotiate with Helaman. He fails there, so in the 29th year he sends an epistle to Moroni to negotiate the exchange of prisoners. So we see Ammoron is trying to get, his army's hurting. His two biggest armies have been defeated, and a lot of people have been taken prisoner, a lot of his men. He needs the men for his armies. And that's the position we're in now. We're going to pick this up in chapter 57. We read the first 5 verses in a previous video, so we're going to read now verses 6 through 23. And it came to pass that in the commencement of the 29th year we received a supply of provisions, and also an addition to our army from the land of Zarahemla, and from the land round about, to the number of 6,000 men, besides 60 of the sons of the Ammonites who had come to join their brethren, my little band of 2,000. And now, behold, we were strong, yea, and we had also plenty of provisions brought unto us. And it came to pass that it was our desire to wage a battle with the army which was placed to protect the city of Cumeni. And now, behold, I will show unto you that we soon accomplished our desire, yea, with our strong force, or with a part of our strong force. We did wow, try that verse again. And now, behold, I will show unto you that we soon accomplished our desire, yea, with our strong force, or with a part of our strong force. We did surround by night the city Cumeni, a little before they were to receive a supply of provisions. And it came to pass that we did camp round about the city for many nights. But we did sleep upon our swords, and keep guards, that the Lamanites could not come upon us by night and slay us, which they attempted many times. But as many times as they attempted this, their blood was spilt. At length their provisions did arrive, and they were about to enter the city by night. And we, instead of being Lamanites, were Nephites. Therefore we did take them and their provisions. And notwithstanding the Lamanites being cut off from their support after this manner, they were still determined to maintain the city. Therefore it became expedient that we should take those provisions and send them to Judea, and our prisoners to the land of Zarahemla. And it came to pass that not many days had passed away before the Lamanites began to lose all hopes of succor. Therefore they yielded up the city unto our hands, and thus we had accomplished our designs in obtaining the city of Cumeni. But it came to pass that our prisoners were so numerous that, notwithstanding the enormity of our numbers, we were obliged to employ all our forces to keep them, or to put them to death. For behold, they would break out in great numbers, and would fight with stones and with clubs, or whatsoever thing they could get into their hands, insomuch that we did slay upwards of 2,000 of them after they had surrendered themselves prisoners of war. Therefore it became expedient for us that we should put an end to their lives, or guard them, sword in hand, down to the land of Zarahemla. And also our provisions were not any more than sufficient for our own people, notwithstanding that which we had taken from the Lamanites. And now, in those critical circumstances, it became a very serious matter to determine concerning these prisoners of war. Nevertheless, we did resolve to send them down to the land of Zarahemla. Therefore we selected a part of our men, and gave them charge over our prisoners to go down to the land of Zarahemla. But it came to pass that on the morrow they did return. And now behold, we did not inquire of them concerning the prisoners, for behold, the Lamanites were upon us, and they returned in season to save us from falling into their hands. For behold, Ammoron had sent to their support a new supply of provisions, and also a numerous army of men. And it came to pass that those men whom we sent with the prisoners did arrive in season to check them, as they were about to overpower us. But behold, my little band of 2,060 fought most desperately. Yea, they were firm before the Lamanites, and did administer death unto all those who opposed them. And as the remainder of our army were about to give way before the Lamanites, behold, those 2,060 were firm and undaunted. Yea, and they did obey and observe to perform every word of command with exactness. Yea, and even according to their faith it was done unto them. And I did remember the words which they said unto me, that their mothers had taught them. And now behold, it was these my sons, and those men who had been selected to convey the prisoners, to whom we owe this great victory. For it was they who did beat the Lamanites. Therefore they were driven back to the city of Manti. And we retained our city Cumeni, and were not all destroyed by the sword. Nevertheless, we had suffered great loss. I love this story of the battle for Cumeni. First of all, we have the siege of Cumeni. They surround the city, and when provisions come, they take the provisions, and those who are carrying the provisions are all taken prisoner. And the city is besieged, and they're running out of provisions, and they see they can't actually fight. They don't have the strength. So they surrender, and the Nephites take the city. But there are so many prisoners. The prisoners keep trying to break out. They keep fighting with whatever improvised weapon they can get. And so even after the surrender, over a course of several days probably, they've killed over 2,000 of them. And they say, we can't do this. We got to focus on the war. So they send the prisoners to Zarahemla. The very next day, the army that was escorting prisoners returns. But it's that next day they send them away, and then a new army of Lamanites arrive at Cumeni to help the army that was there, and we get the big battle coming. And this is a large army is here, and it's almost to the point of overpowering Helaman and all the Nephites there. But Helaman gives credit to two groups. The first being the sons of the Ammonites, the stripling warriors who fought so bravely and so well that they held off. I get the impression that these stripling warriors were at the entrance to the fortifications, and that's where the Lamanites were bringing their hottest attack, and the other Nephites were the support. At least in the end, that's when, they may not have been there first, but they came and fortified that entrance, and that is where. And then the army that was escorting the prisoners returns and attacks the Lamanites from the rear, and the Lamanites get crushed between the two forces. And Helaman gives credit to both of these groups. And in the story of the stripling warriors, we always love talking about the stripling warriors. They're a great group of young men. But because their faith is so good, is so great, and their story is very inspirational, we often overlook everybody else that is involved in this story. Even in this situation, even with the way they fought, Helaman is saying that if that army who had been escorting the prisoners, if they had not returned when they had, even the sons of the Ammonites, even these stripling warriors, would not have been able to win the battle. It took both. And in life, we do this often, that we see the big, shining example, the great inspirational one, and we overlook the smaller one. Those people who build up the inspiration. The one we look to, we forget those who are their foundation, who are the ones that are making it possible for them to be what they are. I'm going to leave that here for now. We will finish this chapter in the next video and finish this story out. So I will see you there.